Up on the 4th floor of an apartment complex in the northern suburbs of Sydney is a bountiful balcony pumping out produce year-round. Meet Wendy Siu-Chew Lee,
I'm just out to prove that there's nothing I can't grow up here.
gardener extraordinaire, who's learning there's no limit when it comes to location.
So it's a modern apartment, and some would prefer a nice, sleek, kind of polished look, but we have a working farm here. And so we have a lot of dirt. And so one of the issues is a muddy terrace all the time, which I love. My husband doesn't like it so much. So that's one of the challenges, just keeping the place clean and livable, but also natural.
What sort of things have you aimed at planting?
Well, we've been here for 5 years, so I've made every mistake in the book. From planting too many things, having gone to the garden centre and bought everything visible, to planting for the wrong season, planting the wrong type of plant for this situation, keeping in mind that it's a containered garden, so space is at a premium. And so after 5 years now, I've kind of got it down pat where I go for the best bang for your buck.
I like the way it sort of all opens out. You know, you've got this nice space. I mean, these here, look at them. I mean, you've got silver beet, you've got cos lettuce, you've got bok choy, and you can just repeat pick.
Yeah, well, that's how we do it here.
I mean, everywhere I look, there's a lot of edibles. What's your most productive edible out of the garden?
My leafy greens are definitely the most productive, but I've branched into things like broad beans. They're attractive, plus the beans are absolutely delicious. We've got some broccoli growing. They're good value too. Cut off their heads and they'll re-sprout. I've got blueberries growing in pots too, really easy. I treat them just as I would an azalea or a camellia, and so pine needles make a really good mulch for them, being acid-loving plants.
Yeah. How productive have they been?
Last summer was amazing. We had literally handfuls of blueberries. Quite astounding that in a balcony situation you could actually produce your own fruit.
How do you look after your soil in all your containers?
Well, I learnt very early on that soil is everything. So I started composting, which is very possible on a balcony. I brought in worm farms. We have manures and fish heads and little bits and pieces like that that I dig into the soil. They're a great source of nitrogen, potassium and calcium. Great for growing tomatoes. And so the quality of the soil that I have up here is better than the potting mix that I brought in. And it just keeps getting better. As you can see, you know, it supports a wonderful garden. So Costa, this is my workspace and this is my homemade compost bin here. It's just a garbage bin with holes drilled in the side for aeration.
Yep.
And what I put in there is leaf litter that I find on the balcony or, you know, scrounge around from downstairs.
And it's a good little contained size.
Yes, it's 100 litres.
In a bin, you can move it around.
Yes. And here are my worm bins.
What's your process with your worm farming?
Well, it literally comes out of the kitchen, so we just have a bag of scraps. All my kitchen scraps go into the bins and a little scoop of lime. That'll stop the bin from getting smelly. I also add what we call browns, which are the carbon element. I do that using shredded paper, cardboard, dried leaves. There's a balance of about 4 to 1. The 4 being the carbon, to 1 being the greens, the stuff that comes out of the kitchen.
Fantastic. And I can see here, these are the castings. They are the real gold, aren't they?
Yes, they are. So this is all household scraps that have turned into something that can go back into the soil to grow food.
So is that a Genoa fig?
Yeah, black Genoa.
Nice, one of my favourites.
We have all the pests up here, all the same diseases, and so I have to find ways of ameliorating those issues and creating biodiversity up here. That's always a challenge as well, but it's amazing how many things will find their way up to the 4th floor.
These brassicas of yours look plastic because there's not one hole in any of the leaves.
Yes, well, insect exclusion netting is the secret here. The white cabbage moth larvae attack the leaves typically. So all it is really is just some polypipe and just a bit of bamboo
Oh, yeah.
or a stick.
That's simple.
Yep.
And then
Fasten-
curve it over.
Yep, fasten it at the top just to give it a bit of stability. So once you've got the netting on, they can't get in.
Perfect. And I love it how Wendy's making the most of her meterage by growing up. I mean, these snow peas here, they're taller than me.
Yes, they are.
I know that's easy, but no, they're 2 metres.
It's the use of the vertical space that I have. A few bamboo poles like that.
I can see you doing everything. I mean, you're training that mulberry up. You've got, I like this. I can just push that out of the way, make my passage. The olive you've got up against the lattice, but this is one that I wanted to ask you about. This is a grapevine, yeah?
Yes.
That must be fantastic in the summer when it pops up.
Yeah.
And you're just slowly training it around, and it's giving you all of that shade, the privacy.
And then eventually over the eaves as well.
Wow. So how long's that been in?
Probably about 2 years.
It's doing really well.
Yeah, it's a prolific provider of grapes in the summer, yeah.
Wendy's garden shows you that good things take time. When you look after a garden, your garden will look after you, inside and out, year after year.
The education that I've received from simply pottering around out here has been incredible. And I think I'm better for it, much better for it.